We're back here. Hopefully, my technical expert Huhy is probably going to stitch this together. But we did have a little break there. I understand Numlocked vomited and Ips was going on some racist rant. You guys, you're lucky you missed out on that one. But we were talking about maps, and I wanted to draw that to a conclusion. I'm going to throw out a few map names here, guys, and just you can cheer or boo it. But we'll start with the removal of Granary. Is that a good idea? Yay or nay?
No.
No.
Stupid.
No.
Okay.
When was this announced? Why has Granary been removed?
You should just follow the forums, man. There's always people complaining.
What removal of Granary? Who has this fucking insane idea?
All right. Pipe down.
It was for the Nation Cup.
Oh.
Is this Kenfo's idea?
All right. Next. Gravel pit. Yay or nay?
Jay.
Jay for removing or what?
Yeah.
No.
The addition
Jay
of
for
gravel
adding
pit.
it. It's not even in there.
Oh,
Removing.
Gravel pit. Remove it.
Never add again.
Okay.
No, it's a good map. Add it.
No.
It was 3-0 for Granary. It's going to be 1-2 there. A defeat for gravel pit.
2-1 is how you say it.
Yeah, and Ips wanted to have it
No,
there.
I
He wanted it
to be
out.
gone,
He
like,
wanted
never
it to
coming
be out.
back.
So
Hello?
I say 1-2. But anyway,
Sorry,
let's
pal.
talk. Turbine. Anybody want Turbine back? Turbine Pro.
Yeah.
But only against Sila because they suck at it.
I actually like
Yeah,
Turbine,
Turbine
but
was
I don't
cool.
get a vote.
Add Turbine. Like, we can have one more map
I
in the
love
map
that
pool. We don't need to remove anything, just add one.
CTF is missing. Like, I feel like there's some.
Let's keep this
it's always
moving. This
just
is supposed to be quick fire here. What about Obscure?
Oh.
Obscure? Snow Obscure?
No!
I like Obscure.
I like it
Possibly
too, but
because
I
they're
don't
fucking
want
old
it.
school.
Wow.
It's not better than the maps that we have, though.
Snow and shit.
Okay, this is a map that's still being actively developed. Croissant. It's back.
No.
Why has it never
No.
found any love?
I
It's bad.
explain. TF2 is a spam-based FPS, right? You spam a certain area to control a certain area, right?
Right.
You would agree with me,
I'll drink into that.
and Zebbosai, whatever.
Sure.
So if you have a map mirrored where the soldiers on one side can just peek and spam the whole time without leaving in their cover, and the other soldiers have to expose themselves to be able to spam, that's always not equal, right?
You
that
still
making
talking
sense?
about the angles?
Yeah, I'm still talking about the angles. Like itself, I don't like the design of the map, but if we would just clean it out of every textures and it would like CP orange, it would look like CP orange, and we would play it like this, right? No, I'm genuine. Like that's what I feel like, and we would play it. It would be Zebbosai and Jukebox against T-Mag and Ips, and they would have a spam battle against each other, and fucking Zebbosai can stay behind this cover and just edge around the corner. Now I have to walk 1 meter out to actually hit the same damage, and he hits me for double the amount of damage. It matters. Like every single rocket in the end matters on that level, and I don't feel that building a map around being mirrored and taking the spam angles away without having the ability to swap your rocket launcher to the left side, which would fix it, is good. Like, I don't feel it's good. I just don't see the concept of it. It wants to be a unique map for the sake of being unique, and that's wrong.
Anyone else got an opinion?
It's bad.
Fuck that map.
Okay.
Didn't
So
Arnold
what
make
advice
Gullywash?
would you give to
He
Arnold?
made such a good map, and then he made Croissant. What happened to him?
Yellowwash is bad too.
Don't forget Bazillion. No, don't forget
Fuck off.
Bazillion.
Bazillion, yeah, that was a great map. Fuck Bazillion and
Alright.
Croissant. Gullywash is a
Can you
good
offer him any constructive criticism here rather than like, can you offer any solutions? Should he throw it in the
Don't do a
bin?
map like this, like not in an S or whatever your map is shaped like. Do it like one side is exactly like the opposite and end of the story, but not make it like ring around the roses.
Yeah,
and
but
one
you're-
have to.
This is just your
Huh?
bias as a soldier. You've got a weapon that only shoots from one side.
No. Ah, fuck yourself. You're a medic. You're healing me. And you should be biased as well because I
Dropping
don't
you.
hit as much damage as the other demo. Medic.
All right, then let me put it back to you then, man. If we were running the NA rule set and you had to switch sides at half time, would you play Croissant?
Perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine.
Of course, why not? It would
Okay,
be the
okay.
Then
same and vice versa.
still the guy. It's still stupid.
Some parts of it, I think, need to be widened out. Like some of the choke points. I remember playing against Epsilon, and it was just like you constantly caught spam. You couldn't move, couldn't transition without catching pipes. But that's just a weird memory I have. But anyway, let's keep moving on. One map that used to be close to my heart, tried to get in at the start of the season, Metalworks. Has anybody played it? Any opinion on it?
Never played it, but I've seen it
Like
and it looks
it a lot.
bad. You can't push loss though, from what I've seen.
What?
I actually
Well,
really
you
like
haven't
that
seen
one.
much.
I think it's
Yeah.
similar to. I think it's very similar to Snakewater. In the
And
fact
that's a
that-
map we want.
Well, I think it's similar to the fact, similar to Snakewater in the fact that each area you want to push requires a medic because they're also confined. They're all such confined areas that you need the Uber.
Yeah.
You can't just walk in through the left side. You can't just walk in through the right side. You can't just walk in through the center or whatever.
Well, if you
They
don't
all
wipe
require.
mids, you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously. They all require that extra buff for that extra Uber to walk through.
Or distraction.
Yeah, I like it. We
Yeah,
played
exactly.
in the invite packs group that we are running. We've tested that map for quite some time, and then we just stopped because it's not being played in Europe. And I felt like we had really interesting and good games on it. And every time I watch Hard Blue, Platinum, whatever these guys are called, scrimming them, I feel like this is an interesting map. I like it a lot more than what the maps that are created now try to achieve, because I always have the same feeling with every map that comes out that is on the Team Fortress TV or ETF2L forums, that they just try to be unique for the sake of being unique. Is that making sense? It's like a hipster syndrome for maps. Like they
You want
need
everything
this
to be like
new kind of
Badlands?
thing. They need this circling sphere in the background, and it kills you if you drop to it. And then there's toxic poison in the lake and stuff like that. This is not nothing. That is random ass shit that you don't need in a competitive map. And I feel like Metalworks is cool. The thing though is that I heard a lot of different differing opinions about it in NA. Like I have a lot of people that I'm close to that say it's shit. I have a lot of people that I'm close to that say it's good. So I'm not really sure, but I would like to see it tested because, like I stated before in interviews, we don't really have something to lose with ETF2L. Like we could be testing so much stuff like every month, every
Mario
season we
Kart.
play. Yeah, Mario Kart. No, you're derailing right now. You're like one of those guys on ETF12 forums. I'm bringing up a valid point. You bring up a stupid point.
Oh
Suddenly,
no,
my valid
it's
point
cool.
doesn't count.
I'm trying to get you to shut up, you know, so I can move on to the next point. Keep talking, buddy.
Mario Kart to shut me up. Why don't you just say I agree and then that's it?
Oh yeah, thanks, Ips. Standing, just one there to troll you.
No.
Standing, CP Standing, new official map.
Never.
Can't comment.
Never played it.
Haven't played it?
What's the incentive for us to play it if we've never? What's the incentive for us to play it if we've never had to try it?
What's
before
wrong
anything
with
comes
your
along?
microphone?
What's wrong with my microphone? I
It
don't
just
know. I'll
sounds
fix it now.
sick.
I'd love to see a webcam of Numlocked right now. Dude's wasted.
You're laying down?
Okay.
You're getting
Right.
too old for
Yeah,
this shit?
is it? I need to take
Let's
a
move
break
on. This
for
one's
Oh, that's
particularly for
better.
you, Numlocked. Obviously, I'm the Premiership Ambassador. I've got some access to secret conversations, but recently I heard that Numlocked had requested NG Limit 1. I know that would bring us
why.
in line with North America, but discuss, please.
No. I know why. Zeb is used to roll people on the middle, and then he wants
I'll
an
let him answer it while I build.
He went beer back. You
Well,
take it.
okay, James.
He's
So
going
what
to
I
bug up
said
again.
was, he's used to roll people on middle and stay alive, right? And if you have your demo alive and your medic and a scout or whatever to push with you into last, he's used to already sealing last before the enemy team even has a chance to set up a last defense. So what's working against that is that you can have two engineers like ping 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 just put up a level 3 sentry within 20 seconds. So I completely understand the point that he's coming from, but it's really biased, I feel, because a lot of times this double sentry bullshit has worked into Epsi's favor before, and at the moment, like, they're completely dominant in the European scene and they want to be as dominant as they can, so they want to get rid of the stuff that gives you a little grip or like a little thing to hold onto on lads. Like a double sentry is always gonna like counter crit charge, for example, and we know that he always wants to do
So,
that,
wait,
especially on.
when you say a double sentry, you mean a sentry that's been built
Double
in half the
entry.
time, or do you mean two
I mean,
sentries?
two engineers building one sentry because it takes like half of the time, and that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about two NGs having two level 3 sentries up. He's talking about two NGs building at one level 3 sentry at the same time. That's what he's talking about, because it slows down the momentum that you gain from like rolling into mid and into second. And obviously that's something he wants to get rid of. So I don't really agree with that point, because it should always be like TF2 for me shouldn't be this like boom mid, like we crush them and then on last it's just easy because they can't set up shit.
Yeah.
There should always be the
Like right now, it's middle decides the round.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly.
You should have possibilities to get out of it.
Yeah,
and that's the double engine.
Yeah, and the double engine is always very valuable. Like Broder does it a lot on when they do forward holds on batlines against Uber charges. They hold forward on batlines and they have a sentry on last, right? And that's super valuable for them because you rush in scouts to main with Uber and they run into a sentry on last, and then that's it. So that's like this is depth in the game, right? This is a detail, and I don't think.
Let me widen the net beyond engineers. Then, what would you think about like limiting? Or do you think like let's look at Broder's process last hold double sniper heavy? is that imbalanced? It's the problem.
Not our hold.
It's the problem.
We just did it once.
It's the problem with the spawn system that you can.
It's not your hold.
Well, we made it up, but we only did it once.
What is the problem? It's your whole shut the fuck up. I agree. Like they could run it any time. Double sniper completely valuable. Going into last and you don't flash people properly, you lose someone instantly. Good. Like that's it. Like that's what you should get punished for. You're not doing a proper Uber. You're not doing a good Uber into last. You lose someone, and you don't.
So whose fault is it? Should teams? Should the attacking team find out what they're doing on last before they push?
The attacking team, like us losing to Jukebox on process last or on Viaduct is our fault. It's not like the sniper.
It's a part of the game.
It's a part of the game, and it's only that valuable if you don't know. Like it's getting.
So why is heavy limited to 1?
Because
heavy
are you really asking me that? You could answer that question on your own. Because heavy fully buffed is 1000 HP or like 900 HP that you have to ring down with an Uber charge of 8 seconds with a flash each second because both heavies focus different targets. It's not going to work. Like that's stupid.
I'm making the same point. If you scout it ahead and saw there were 2 heavies, you could say, "Oh well, maybe we need 2 spies. We need 2 snipers."
I'm not gonna answer that.
It's not the same thing, though.
It's not the same thing. It's exactly not the same.
You're not gonna humor me.
Well, what is that humor? Like 2 scouts, 2 snipers is a different thing to 2 pyros, or 2 heavies even. Like 2 heavies to shoot.
The snipers dies in 2 shots. The heavies dies in 7.
I just want to
the sniper standing in the door and just changes class in spawn, like that's broken too. That's a whole other issue. But
that's easy to play.
Well, Numlocked, defend yourself about the NG thing.
If you like Zach, we talked about.
You want NG limit 1?
We talked about the NG limit 1 right now, and I said, obviously, you wanna with the mid set you play. Jesus Christ, you just whatever. You want to be as dominant as possible, and you want to create the momentum to push into last, right? Let's say, for example, on Snakeboarder, you wipe the moments, you have your medic up and some heavy classes and scouts to cap, so you can push into last. And what you want to do is the demoment and main caller for Epsi is you want to seal them into spawn and last before they can do a last hold. So the only thing that works against you at the moment is that you have to NG strangling up a sentry in time. So for me, I said, like when James asked us about like what do we think about 2 NGs, is that you are fairly biased when it comes to that way like about 2 NGs because you never really need it, and it's always just working against.
It's not about against Epsilon. It's not about against Epsilon. It's about in general. Like, what if a team is ready to push last, but for whatever reason the enemy team has managed to build 2 fucking level 3 sentries? Where is the fairness in that? Like, I'm not saying how they'd be able to. I'm saying what if.
That's
like maybe that's not necessarily.
Have you faced that?
But what like? No, I've never faced. Like, obviously, Epsilon as a team have been too aggressive for a team.
Okay,
but
but
what if they could do that?
Like we've been fairly defensive in the first few months that we played SCC together, me and James. We've never, and until now, never had to face two level 3 sentries in last. Like, I think.
That's what I'm saying. Like.
Let me jump in. Sorry, I think the reason they banned it in NA, they made it NG limit 1, was because Gravel Pit. There was a very strong 2 NG strat, and that is a map where you have lots of time to set up 2 level 3 sentries. But like, is it something we need to worry about in Europe? Is this a change that we should bring in next season?
Let's look at ESEA for example. Like, you can see the playstyle is very slowed down very much, so that it's not necessarily about player picks, but more about Uber advantages. Teams won't push off of Uber advantages; they'll push off of player picks. So even if they've only got 1 player or 2 players picked, they'll wait until they've got that like 30%, 50% advantage until they actually do anything with it. And that's not something we want to happen in Europe. We don't want the game to become as slow as that teams will wait for that big an advantage, and that they'll do things to make sure they have that advantage. So, for example, something to make sure they have the advantage is the 30% to 50% advantage of holding last with 2 fucking engineers. But that's something that'll just slow the game down to a point where spectators don't enjoy watching anymore. Like, what is there that's fun to watch or to play against about 2 sentries?
It's the thing that
But
a mid itself doesn't determine the whole outcome of a map, like or of a round. Like I think, for me, and you can say that this is wrong, is that every CP itself unlocked a certain advantage for your team. Let's say you unlocked second mid, then it's easier for you to keep Spire, and if you have Spire, obviously it's easier for you to push into last. But I don't feel like if you are dominating the midpoint, you can instantly go to the last point, and it guarantees you the round almost to 90%. If you like,
Just to clarify here for Numlocked, I had to clarify as well that Ips and Zebo, they weren't worried about the prospect of 2 level 3 sentries. They were just putting it forward that 2 NGs is good because you can get a sentry up very quickly, and it'll give you a chance to hold on to last when you've got rolled on middle. And they figured that was the reason that you wanted to limit NGs. Is that?
Yeah, that's the same as like, what if you were allowed 2 pyros? Like,
You can have 2
Yeah, I
pyros.
can have 2 pyros.
Yeah,
You
that's
can
what
have.
I'm saying. Like, pyros should be limited as well. Like, what's the fairness in allowing 2 pyros to block out?
but when did you ever play against 2 pyros?
What about Sniper and Spy? Should they be
Only
limited?
recently.
You don't limit
I
all
want to
classes
listen
to
to
1.
that point. Like, what's the deal? All of a sudden with 2 energies and 2 Spy.
I think important pick or defensive classes should be limited to 1. Like, heavies, engineers, snipers, spies, they're all very important either pick or defensive classes, and they should be limited to 1. I don't think you should be allowed that chance twice. I think if the first chance fails, that should be it. You shouldn't be allowed another
no
chance.
one ever run pyros at the same time, and then if you recycle a second pyro
No, but
to stall out the enemy Uber, it's lost. Like I would agree. I would agree with you with suddenly a team like CC or like Wu-Chang Clan, whatever, and like Broder now start to have 2 pyro strategy on Bully Wash last or 2 NG strat or whatever. It never happens, and you never seemed until now to have a problem with it. For me, it's just like
no, but
yeah.
the teams could do, like, on maps like, for example, Badlands, where the last is very confined and it's very easy to switch sides. A map like a class, like a Pyro could be worth taking twice, because they could defend any side other than far
Did it ever
left
happen
twice.
to you?
Only recently.
And your first answer to that is to change the rules rather than fucking man up and level your game up.
Well, what's the stop? How can you stop a double pyro? Like,
Well, like, they can't push out if they have 2 pyros, so you have
but
like
they can
infinity of time to counter it.
Run a heavy, man.
They can defend. Okay, so say you're pushing last with normal classes against double pyro. The double pyro stops you from pushing in entirely. That's your Uber advantage gone. Now the other team has advantage. They can switch to normal classes. They've got a 40% advantage. They can then push out.
Who double
What's to stop them from
against
having
you?
the advantage and pushing out with normal classes?
Who double pyroed
Sorry?
against you?
But that wouldn't work.
No, I mean
on,
which team
holding
used
outside
double
last.
pyro against you?
Well, no, I'm not saying no team has done it.
Yeah,
but I'm
because
saying
it's
it
never
shouldn't be
gonna
allowed.
work.
Yeah, but like how it's gonna
No,
work?
but it could do for defending. You're thinking inside the current meta of like, as soon as you defend, pushing out. No, you are. You're thinking of defending against the current meta of as soon as you defend, you need to push. But if you defend against the current meta of like that's you begone, we can push whenever we want. If you had double pyro, it would work.
No, like you just the pyro. If he fails with his air blast, then the whole thing is gone. You win,
Yes, but if
and
you
you can just off-class yourself to beat it. It's like so easy to beat. You take a heavy and the pyros. What the fuck they do?
So exactly. Okay, so exactly on a map like Badlands, where the spawn is fairly close to anywhere on last. If you take double pyro, that double pyro defense, if it fails, you can just quickly switch back. Like there's nothing
How?
to.
The pyro...
But are you thinking the pyros would be on the same position?
The double pyro fence The double
Because
pyro
of the
defense
transition, yeah.
happens close to the choke points, right? And these are in top lobby and in main, where you use pyro, right? This is where you use pyro to stall out the enemy Uber. How will you ever be able to get that pyro back into spawn?
You won't.
It's not far. It's not his. Like, you're forgetting about the spawn.
The problem
Gully
that I
Wash,
see is the
for
problem that I
example.
see
Galawash
is
is
that
even further.
either you are doing it on any defense, we aren't doing it, and Broder ain't doing it as well. So for me, it's kind of like, you can call me out on that, but I feel it's kind of pretentious to say, well, if someone suddenly starts to develop double pyro defenses, that's going to be bad, and double energy defense, but that never happens. So for me, it's like, you want to guarantee that if you win, you want to roll to
Yeah,
last.
so obviously double pyro does slow you down a little bit, but it's not that much. Like, the reason we don't run double pyro is because we don't like running the defensive classes
Yeah.
in general.
Like no one else.
We like to be able to push off as soon as we get a pick. So, like, if we get one sort, no, but you say it's the same as everyone else, but no one else plays the same way as Epsilon do. No one else pushes as soon as they get that one pick.
I feel on last
Every seat
defense
working.
Make a noise,
is
it's
all
true.
fairly even. You're really good and at bits and in transition plays, but on last defense it's all like, there's no big difference in last defenses.
I agree.
I don't know. Like, I don't see you guys. I don't see you guys or Broder pushing out as successfully as Epsi do with one pick. I feel like Epsi are the only
So
team
you
doing
are
it as
brave.
successfully as we do.
I think everyone can defend last, but maybe Numlocked has something there when he says that most teams fail at pushing out, and that's very.
I
I
think,
think
what
you just
FC
have to
has
watch any
is-
of the games against Epsilon and see how Epsilon crush people who try to push out against them.
Concept.
I don't know, I don't think that's why EPS is good. They're just so good at middles, and if you win a middle, they know how to beat that middle.
But
They round
middles aren't
after.
our strongest point. Middles aren't our strongest point. Like, look at my speed to middle, and I'm sure, like, a team with Cadis on it would argue that middles are our weakest because
Yeah,
Cadis
but
is
you
so
fucking.
quick to middle.
But that doesn't matter. Your team saves you, even
What
if
does
you
it
suck.
matter? Listen, what does it matter if Cadis is faster on mid if you're not even on middle? I'm not joking here, and you can laugh about it because you're fuck. But because you're slow as fuck, Cadis has nothing to play against, and he's wasting. That's what he says to me every time. He's wasting. Listen, I'm in the middle of a sentence. You don't talk over me.
The
Shut
problem
the
with
fuck up.
Cadis is that no. The problem
He's
with
wasting 4
Calm down,
seconds.
calm down.
the problem with Cadis is that he's too focused
not
on
even.
Denver
Like,
Simplified.
no. He's just
Like,
limiting.
he's stuck in his meta.
wanna
bro.
Alright,
Yeah, no,
shut the fuck up. I'm not interested in this tangent at
I
all.
didn't interrupt anyone.
Alright, you can finish. You can both finish. You can both finish.
Okay, Cadis wants to limit the enemy demo room, but if no enemy demo does even show up on mid in time like that he arrives, obviously you have the feeling that he starts to fight you in the end, but he doesn't. And for him, that throws him off guard a couple of times. Like, I've seen it on Granary and on maps like Badlands, where he's like, "Where the fuck is Numlocked?" And then after like 6 seconds, you arrive on the balcony with like 8 stickies reloaded and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah. Why would I go away that he's prepared?
Yeah, I'm
for
not
me
saying
to go?
that's a
Why
wrong
would
thing
I,
to do. I'm not saying
there's
that it's a wrong thing
I
to
need
do, but
switch
you're
it up
saying.
to make him. I know it's not the wrong thing to do. That's why we've been unbeaten
You're
for a year.
saying-
You're not doing it because you're doing it because you suck at rollouts, not because you think it's better.
Because you suck at fucking rollouts. You're unbeaten for a year because you have the
Maybe
best
I
scout
am.
combo in
Maybe-
Europe and the
maybe-
fucking best soldier in the world. You fucking garbage, man. You can be replaced by Rip and Cadis.
Wow.
I just want to
Fuck
say
your
that.
dick.
I just want to say that
Alright,
I was on the only
Ips, wrap
lineup.
it up, Ips.
I
Numlocked.
was on the only lineup to beat Epsilon for a year. Okay. I was on the only lineup that has beaten Epsilon in the last 2 years.
I'm
Okay.
going to fuck my life.
I just want to come back to something that Numlock said. Numlock, you went on to say that you thought class limit 1 for utility classes, all those pick classes would be acceptable, but why do you put them above Demo Man and Scout? Why not, or sorry, Soldier and Scout, why not limit all classes to 1?
God.
Because soldiers and scouts serve a purpose outside of the utility and picks. Like, you need
They're
need
generalists,
that
yeah.
one class to protect the medic. You need the one class to create the plays. Whereas like pyros and heavies and engineers and snipers and whatnot, they only serve one purpose, and that is to get a pick
Well, let me
or to play a
confirm what you
defensive role.
said.
Like soldiers can play either defensive or aggressive. Like, they're not as limited as the other classes are.
You said, and I more or less quote, that a sniper or a spy or whatever, a pyro, should only have one chance to make their play on last.
Yes.
But is it fine that a scout can run in and die and there's no consequence because you've got another scout? Like,
Well, no,
why
there
do
is-
you
that's
exclude
that's
them or partition them
That's
off.
what's going wrong in Europe. The fact that only Epsilon will push off of one scout dead.
It's not true though. That's just shit we make.
All right, we're not going to get an
How
answer out of
often-
this.
How often does Zaibatsu or Broder push off of like
Every time.
Shocky or Bash being killed? Like, it's not often at all. Once the demo's back, it's not often at all. You guys don't push off of those sort of kills. We do. If Cookie
Yeah, but
dies
this
or
has,
if
no,
Bibin
that
dies
has
or if
nothing to
Zappos
do
dies,
with
we'll push off of that.
with the class that you call. This has to do with the sheer fact that you have the better player on your roster. You can push. No.
No, it does. It
You
has
can
to do with
push
the
with
class
a
that you kill.
mic, and he will hit any rocket off of one kill. And you can push with an Ips, and he won't hit any rocket. Like, this is the shit. I'm not even joking.
This is the misconception that you guys have. You think that one player.
Are you fucking kidding
maybe
me?
not-
That's what
maybe
you're
this
saying
is
for
an
1
incorrect
year.
word,
That
but
Mike
you
carries
think that one. No. You think that one player carries the team. It's never one player that carries the
No.
team. Every player
No.
contributes the exact same thing. Mike contributes the exact same thing that every other
No,
player
Mike
does on the team.
contributes more. Gear shit.
Yeah.
All right, we're going around in circles here.
I
I'm gonna
think that's a
just,
stupid thing. I
I'm
think
gonna
that's a stupid thing to say.
draw a line under class limits. It's
No, hang on. I think Mike doesn't contribute any less or any more than the other team. Mike is as
How
good
can
as
you
every
say
other player
that?
on the team. Obviously, his DM is.
he as good as
What do you mean? How can I
Kimberly?
say that?
That's ridiculous.
Well, that's unfair to say because Kimberly is an Epsilon.
Like, how. Gear. No, not fucking Gear. Bash,
So
Stefan, Mike are better.
Are you saying that with Mike you would be able
Huh?
to beat Epsilon?
No, that's not what we're saying.
But this is. You're saying that Mike is Epsilon.
No.
Oh, the number of it all together, with you having you screaming some damage and your scouts ridiculously DMing into it, and then Mike hitting every rocket behind it, it is making the difference. And you have knocks.
I'm so glad that we added alcohol
It's
into
good.
this
Because
equation, but I'm gonna
wait,
move on to the
like,
next
this
topic.
is the third part, right? Is this the third
It's the
part?
truth
Is
serum,
this
man.
the
It's the
third part?
truth serum. This is when the real talk comes out. Well, it was
Yeah,
supposed
well,
to be 2,
let's
but
say
maybe
it's
it will
the
be
third
3, yeah.
It's cool. People can see like a little like.
I'm too drunk
arc
for this.
going
I need to go
up,
bed.
Like, yeah, we all cool. Like, yeah. Zebbosai and Ips, they're coming for us and shit. And then it's like, fuck Ipsy. It's all Mike.
Well, it's not all Mike, but they have like, say, Mike, Bash, Stefan. They're obviously outstanding players in that team. Who wouldn't say that? And then
Numlocked wouldn't
Nox
say
with
that.
his calls. Yeah, Numlocked wouldn't say that, but everyone else would. And then Nox with his
Alright,
amazing
anyway,
calls.
let's talk about North American rules. We've seen them in ASA Gamer, and it's something that there was a high possibility that it could have gone in last season, but the sort of ETF2L page wasn't really ready for it. But is that something you want to see next season? NA rules. First to 5, half
It's cool, I like
time
it.
split, all that stuff.
All of the rule
Maps.
set. Not the unlocks, the rule set.
Just the rules I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Unlocks
yeah.
is another topic.
Yeah, you can take that. I don't care.
Is it better? Is it worse?
It's
You
the
don't
same
care.
shit,
It's
but
the
just
same
that you
shit,
get the
and I don't
tactical
have
pause.
I don't
And
have
that's-
to pretend that my mouse is lacking out and shit like an ETF2L. Like, oh no, we're losing 2 rounds.
Okay,
My mouse
well,
is
like,
lacking out. Please pause, please. And then I'm like, yo guys, what is going on with
do
me?
you like
Now I can fucking have a halftime in between.
do you like so you like the pause? Do you like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that you change sides? Does that mean anything to you, or is that just
No.
I think it used to, but now that Valve have actually updated the maps and whatnot, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's just the
Like,
tactical pause.
for example, on Granary, like you get the same.
spawns?
The
things on-
the
yeah,
color
exactly.
swap
On
doesn't
the
mean
hiding
anything,
spot.
but the downtime in between makes it a bit more.
Yeah, that's
we'll
really good.
have a downtime to talk about it, which obviously
Okay, and,
equalizes the experience that Epsi has. To be fair, like for them it's a downgrade because people can just adapt to it because they have like 15 minutes pause if they want or something like this. So they can't necessarily roll throw people 5-0. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Do you know what I mean, Zeb? Like,
Yeah.
usually you would be like,
Yeah, we saw it.
Yeah.
We saw,
No, I agree. Like I said earlier, that we have the advantage of we've got 2 experienced callers, whereas every other team doesn't. So we're able to adapt things on the fly a lot easier. But now that we've got this pause time, you guys are able to think of things on the spot.
Well, you're never in the position we are though. We're losing all the time.
Well, yeah, exactly. We don't need
right. Also on NA rules, there's the win limit of 5 and the extended time limit. Are those good things, bad things?
Extended
time
what?
limit, you idiot.
The time limit goes on to 60 minutes, two
Oh.
halves of 30 minutes. And
Yeah, but then we
it's
need
not
to-
win difference, it's
We need to
the
change.
limit.
If ETF2 is
Yeah.
going to run it, we need to play 1 map per week. We can't do 2.
Yeah, we can't do best of 3 with fucking
Yeah.
hour-long maps. That's
Yeah, it
ridiculous.
is.
that's the way they do it at ESA LAN.
At LAN, sure.
Yeah, but that's not for. They don't do it for only for the playoffs. That's fine.
Yeah.
But like, we can't do 2 maps
I agree.
a night on an
I
hour
agree.
each. That's too long for everyone.
You're talking specifically
people-
about ESA
No,
gaming.
ETF2 will
ESA
regular
game.
league.
Well, no, I'm talking in general. Like, if ETF2L were running a similar,
Yeah, but their proposition
round.
was to just do as they do in ESA,
then
which
it's
you have
fine.
2 games a week, but
Then it's fine.
just 1 map.
yeah, that'd be fine. But like, it's unfair to do 2 maps of a similar length a night because some people do have
Like
jobs
Numlocked.
and have to be up early.
Sorry.
Those poor bastards, huh?
Please don't rub it in.
And
Please
Zebbosai,
don't rub
by
it
the
in.
way.
Okay, but right, it's fairly positive for NA rules, but we'll see what happens anyway. The next topic, second last one, you'll be glad to hear, is one that I've had a lot of interest recently. Obviously, we saw, or going back a month or two, there was that whole thing where X-Tine and Salamancer went to Valve and they started up a dialogue with them, and now off the back of that, we've had this balance patch. We've seen changes to the maps, as you mentioned, Granary, unlocks, all sorts of things, and this really reopens the unlock debate, which has maybe not got much mileage in Europe for a long time. I suppose this season we've had some new unlocks, but how do you guys feel about more unlocks
I don't want
and
it.
the patch?
I think the unlocks we have now are the unlocks that are gonna get used regularly. I don't see a point adding a lot of shit unlocks because, for me at least, the mixes in TF2, if you want to play those, are gonna be destroyed because people are just
Yeah,
gonna
but
troll.
this has to
I don't
do
see a
with our
point.
mindset of being in general really casual about the game. Like, let's imagine if people would be. Imagine we would have a prize pool on the line that it is worth fighting for. People would actually try to work out the benefits they could achieve by using certain unlocks. This just has to do. This has nothing to do with the unlocks. This has to do with Europeans being fucking idiots in the end, to be fair. And, my biggest problem with the unlocks is not necessarily the unlock itself. Like, I love everything that adds some variety to the game and something to you need to adapt to. But the biggest problem that I have at the moment when I played some of these scrims or mixes where they tested out the new changes of the unlocks is that you can't predict them. A lot of unlocks that are out there to discuss are just hidden, if you know what I mean. An atomizer, for example, this is just like a little purple cloud behind a scout that suddenly does a triple jump in front of you. And I feel like if we actually want to contribute to the game and make it better, then the whole style of unlocks being used in the game has to change, either by developing a certain sound system to unlocks, let's hear what someone uses, or let's see what someone uses. But if we keep it unpredictable, if you can't see if a soldier is running a back, what is it called, buff banner, or a shotgun
Buff
or
banner.
something, until he turns his back to you, is not something that you can calculate. And if something isn't calculatable, is that the word? Think into it, yeah. Then
Okay, yeah,
it
that's a word.
becomes random, and if it becomes random, it
Yeah.
is not competitive. You can't eliminate you can't lower the chance of something being random if it keeps being random all the time. And that's the shit I had in these scrims all the time.
That's-
A scout would just triple jump in front of me. I couldn't see from a mile away that he would use it, and you could argue well, you don't see necessarily that a medic is using crits or whatever, but you can hear it. You can hear a medic having a fuss going on. You can see if you have a good eye for it. You have these little yellow particles on his beam or whatever. And I don't really feel like I have this with a lot of the unlocks that we're arguing about in Euro at the moment. And I think that's something, obviously we are now in this state that we're testing a lot. And I think this is a very important part that we have to communicate to Valve, that you need to see what someone is using. You need to see that a demo is using a certain pipe launcher from the distance before you approach him, because otherwise it gets random. The outcome of the one-on-one gets random,
Well, if you read Valve did those 3 articles, move up the on weapons, blah blah blah. And part of their justification for removing the set buffs, where you had a hat that gave you, and all the weapons that gave you a buff, was that this idea of visibility. So maybe it's something they're going to change in the long term. We didn't see it for all the weapons this time, but I think it's something they're definitely aware of. But how do you feel in general about the fact that Valve have taken an interest and put out a big balance patch for the first time in a long time?
Muted, by the way. I'm not. I feel
Hello.
it's a
He's
nice step towards competitive. Obviously, I always have this bittersweet taste of them doing it for Highlander, right? Because it will never be a LAN thing. It will
Doing
never
it
be a
for
LAN thing.
public.
They never have to support a big LAN prize pool. They never have to support a big offline tournament if they hype up and if they contribute to Highlander. But I think this is a trade, this is a trade that we're gonna have to make. Like, we're gonna have to accept that these guys in Valve, they want Highlander to become that thing, and we can in the end just, maybe that's stupid, but I feel like we have to live in the shadow of it. In like 2 years time, we'll be like, yeah, Highlander is cool, it's not gonna be Highlander I-46, that's why we don't have to contribute to the prize pool, so we keep it offline, online basically, and the community has to pay for it, or the league. But I think overall it's something, right? Like, it's more than they did in the last 2 years. I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure if we're making any coherent points at this point, but I'd like to hear if
Sorry,
Zebbosai and Numlocked have any thoughts on the balance the balance patch and the updates and
Well,
unlocks in general.
like, it breaks a lot of competitive stuff, but they do it for the public game. So I guess for public it's good, but for us it wasn't really that good.
Numlocked.
I think for ETF2L it's kind of useless because we're so against any unlocks. Like, as soon as we see a new unlock, it's gone. We don't give them a chance. We don't give it enough of a chance. And obviously, I might have been part of that group that don't give it a chance straight away a few years ago. But I think nowadays we kind of have to. If we want TFT to progress as an esport, or just in general as a community, we need it. We need to give things a chance that give public players an easier time in transitioning from public to competitive.
Well, let me be very specific here. I know you in particular, Numlocked, you've played a couple of mixes, or maybe a fair few this week with Byte and stuff, focusing particularly on the quick fix, the GRU, things like that. Are you interested to sort of refresh the metagame, bring in these new elements, or would you agree with it saying it's more random? Or
No, I don't agree with it's random at all. I mean, in general, already the Uber versus Crits playstyle is not necessarily random, but like, you never know if your opponent is going to run Crits in
Got
the
the
middle.
option to see it though.
Well, yeah, but you only have that option to see it until you get up close.
No, you
to
can
the
see it's
medic,
at
or you
spy,
get
for
a clear
example.
view of the medic.
Like, you can know it.
Well, yeah, exactly. But you could say the same thing, that you could run a spy now and find out whether or not they're running.
You want a spy now to
Yeah, you can.
if they run a direct soldier or not? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm saying that you could do that, but that's not what the scene needs to. That's not the direction the scene needs to go. The scene needs to go. We just need to diversify the way that the game is played and create more.
I agree.
Make the game more dynamic, basically.
well, let me throw out a proposition to you that I posted up on the ETF2L admin forum. It's sort of like the extreme end of the scale here, but you can shoot me down, and I'm not pushing it anyway. It's just like a thought-provoking idea. But what if there was no whitelist? What if we just spent a season playing with only unlocks
That would be ridiculous.
and hope that Valve would balance them based on us actually playing with them?
We're too small of a competitive community for Valve to do that. I mean, the biggest competitive community we have is the American one, and even they don't play with everything allowed. I'm waiting for Valve to do it.
Also,
So
I feel like for us
to
doing it, because Valve said that Robin Walker is not really interested in sixes anymore because there are no new strategies and no new unlocks. It's just kind of hypocritical. Is that's the right thing to say? Like.
Ah, well, that's paraphrasing. That's like what Salamancer said,
Well, okay,
Robin Walker said, and it's totally out of context. He
he's
did say something like that,
he's
yeah.
not
But like then I could say that you're criticizing or you're
But
being
I
hypocritical.
feel that until recently, even now with the big bug patch and stuff like that, and them equalizing maps, this game itself has been so imbalanced within already the map design that now with us having the maps mirrored and stuff like that, we can now focus on the unlocks, and it shouldn't really I don't feel like our goal should be to be satisfying a guy that is not really interesting into competitive TF2. I might disappoint some people here, and I might people be like, yeah, you're an idiot or whatever, but until now it still has been exciting, and there's a lot of metagame to sixes, and there are a lot of strategies, and if he didn't see it until now just because no unlocks has been used that he created or his team, then I'm sorry, but then he's an idiot. I don't know. I'm not playing this game to satisfy a guy. You know what I mean? Is that making sense?
Yeah, well, that's not really. I wasn't going into that whole Robin Walker side of things. I was just considering the proposition that, let me go back to some things you said in the past. I'm going to hang you up here. You said that we've got nothing to lose, and also you guys have said that the teams below you are not good enough. They're not competing with you. So what do Epsilon, Broder, and Wu-Tang Clan have to lose by allowing all unlocks? Would the scene not gain more in the long run if we had one shit season where everything was quite unbalanced and horrible to play?
Someone else has to answer that question.
It's a stupid question. Sorry.
Am I just a dreamer?
No, it won't be able to work because some unlocks are just so broken that you can't even play the game properly.
Well, obviously the place to start would be the Highlander whitelists, where they've decided that certain things, even whenever you have all classes allowed, are broken. But I see this this patch. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's Valve are saying, okay, we're gonna actually spend some time balancing the game out. They've got other people to create the content for them with this gold star system, so maybe they want to actually address some issues in the game. We could really cultivate some sort of dialogue or relationship with Valve just by, they give us an update, we say, okay, let's try some more unlocks. Maybe no whitelist is a foolish idea. It's obviously the extreme end of the scale, but is it time that we start adding lots of unlocks?
As Numlocked said, we're too small of a community to... Valve won't care that much about
I
us.
disagree too, for example. I felt when they did patch, for the first time in a year or 1.5 years, I was well, this is finally an update that is not necessarily just about hats, and it updates maps, and it shows a bit of, at least a slight nuance of interest in competitive TF2, even if it's not sixes but Highlander, right? It's still something that we can work off, and I like the vibe that we are going with at the moment in Europe, that we be okay, we have to test these unlocks and we see how they work in sixes, but I feel a lot of the time people are doing it the wrong way. They want to add stuff for the sake of the game being fresh, right? People are a bit fed up with the rule set. People be
Yeah.
oh, I'm bored. This is boring, and we get beaten by these teams, and this is so stale. If only we could use quick fix now and stuff like that. And I think that's the wrong purpose. This is a really dangerous idea, because it is not necessary for the greater good of the game itself. It is for making the game more fun for people that not necessarily understand the game the fullest the way it is already. So what we have to do, it's our responsibility at the moment. I feel for us, Broder and Epsi, to test it out, maybe in the off season, to have some invites pucks. We got approached by the ETF2L head administration to test out a list of unlocks and see what we want to get added in the near future, and then make a decision of that. But it's...
But that never really works, man. No one ever really takes it seriously unless it's there's money on the line, or it's the actual rule set.
There's always also pride on the line. Whenever Epsi beats you or Broder beats you or the vice versa, CC beats Epsi, they will mine for at least that evening. Even though they don't beat as much in scrims results as usual, they still want to win, right? Like Epsi won't fool around with quick fix all of a sudden. They still want to win the game. So at least I feel in this little circle of 3 teams, you can test these unlocks to the fullest, if that makes sense. I don't know if that is really biased or not, but I feel that I've a lot of mixes them with quick fix, and people are just using it as an instrument to troll the other team, and it's wrong. Then they make like conclusion of that, like they make like, oh yeah, it's so good
that's the
against
thing.
Uber because you get away and stuff like that, and people don't actually use it as like the way it is supposed to be used. And I watched Mix-Up playing last night against Triads, and they were using Quick Fix constantly on Viaduct, and they used it as an Uber charge. While I felt like you can use a Quick Fix so much more dynamic with like jumping your medic situations and creating so much variety in terms of like you can change the momentum so much of a game that I was really surprised that like these open-minded American teams that are used to play with different unlocks played it like this. So it's a it's important time I feel, because I'm not too big of a fan of Valve with what they did to the game, what the game developed into, but I feel that this update in particular showed that they are interested in to the competitive side of TF2 a bit, and I'm not in specific talking about sixes. Like I said, Highlander counts as competitive TF2 as well, and from Highlander we can gain some benefits for sixes, right?
Yeah, like I clarify just that I don't have any illusions that this was like some sort of competitive patch. They're trying to balance it based off public stats of what weapons people use most often. But I think any balance change is obviously going to be affecting us in some way if we're open to it. But I'm not going to continue down this road. You know, we've been talking for a long time. But Zebo, Numlocked, have you any more thoughts?
Like, no, not really. I just play the game because
Have you
it's
any more
fun.
thoughts?
I don't maybe care as much as the others about the unlocks.
But why are you in particular, Zebbosai, you've said like no, you don't want any of this stuff, but why?
Well, because most of it is just shit or really good. So if it's really shit, like the direct hit, it's fun to use, but it's shit. But I'd still use it because it's fun. But the game will be worse.
No, but I
Why
think
is it shit?
Because
the
from
problem
Scouts get
with
one
what I
shot.
see
reason,
is
the
that
normal
you
rocket
see
launch
it
is
more
better.
of a unlock that you reuse throughout 30 minutes of a map. I think we should see unlocks more as we use crits or Ubercharge at the moment. You equip it for a 13 moment in a map. Like let's say on a last defense you want to use a direct hit because you can force an enemy early, or on a last push you can spam out the enemy sniper more easily than usual because your rocket travels faster. Like I think it's more about
Then it's a bit
changing
random
our
though.
head than anything else about how we can use these unlocks in the end. I think we are just a bit too dumb to understand how we can use unlocks effectively, which is why I feel that it's a good time to just test it. Obviously, like I value yours opinion and Zab's, and if we talk about the unlocks that we want in next season, which I'm sure we're gonna do, then we're gonna find out what we want and what we don't want. But I think it's important for us to be open-minded for now and just be like, okay, let's test it in like 4 weeks. We play Squim Quick Fix, or we play with the fan or whatever. And even if you hate it, you have to get over it.
Like, the fan is an unlock that I could see being added and be fine with, because it's like okay, it's not overpowered.
It's
Yeah,
been
it's not
nerfed.
overpowered anymore. But I still feel it's worse than the normal one. But if people want to use that, they can. But as I said, like it's worse. So people are making the game worse by using an unlock they think is fun. And
But
I want
that's
the game
like
to be as good as
generalizing
possible.
it. I feel
That's
like
what I think is fun.
you don't know how good. Like, have you ever seen Bash playing with a Force of Nature? Like, there are people
No,
out
of course
there
not.
that
Like, he
use
might be
these
amazing, I don't know
unlocks
that.
to their full potential, and then they rape you. Like, I'm not joking. You arrive from mid and you get juggled down into Valley if Bash comes with the Force of Nature. And then from that, obviously, just from the people that are delivering you the status quo of how to use an unlock, you will learn how to do it. If you're not really interested from the start, you're going to be like, well, they're going to use it bad. and I understand where you're coming from with this, but I feel it's a dangerous thing to just deny it from the beginning. I really wish I want us to be a bit more open-minded
Yeah.
from the beginning and feel like let Bibbin try out the Force Unleasher, let Cookie let him not try out the Sandman because he's gonna bonk me over the mid and I'm gonna be stunned and shit like that. But let's try him out everything else.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really mind unlocks too much. As long as I think the game is fun, I'm gonna play. So
Let me dial my proposition back then to just say the ESEA whitelist.
ESEA?
Would you be happy with things like that? The fan, quick fix, blah blah blah. They have a few more unlocks, but still most of the broken ones like Bunk aren't in there. Or Girati, that's not allowed.
yeah, like I never watched
Would you be-
American games, so I don't really know what they're seeing.
Most of them, you're right, most of them don't get used.
Yeah.
They're very situational.
That's the thing. I feel most unlocks are just
Oh, no,
super
Numlocked
shit
woke it up.
or really good, and then they're not allowed.
Yep,
Numlocked, are you still ill?
I think we lost
Wow,
him.
he's asleep. Are you alive? Oh well. Well, that was the last sort of discussion question. The last topic then is just to discuss I-49 and maybe
Yeah,
even
I'm
what
really
happens
excited.
afterwards. But how you guys feeling? Are you feeling the hype yet?
Yeah, for sure. Like after I-46, the only reason most of us continued playing was
Indeed.
because we wanted to beat like Americans to I-49. Because of course we didn't want to lose. And, like now it's finally happening, so of course we're hyped.
Let me get some top 5 predictions from you here.
Zebbosai,
I'll go for Ips first.
Epsilon, Broder, Quarantine, HRG.
Yeah, well, Broder, Epsi, CC, the Americans, some European team like Punchline, and then the Australian guys.
Interesting. And do you think HRG won't even be
No, like
competitive at all? They're not going to be
No, I
in the
don't think they'll
final?
be in the final. They might get third, but I don't think they'll get higher than
They're
that.
playing in a very European way, centered around the demoman that we've been used to for the last couple of years, and the American way of being centered around scouts and soldiers through as of God at the I-46 it was. But now I feel that we are a bit too used to the HOG way of playing it. They can completely we will not make the mistake of underestimating them like we did at I-46. So we will do our homework, and we're doing it already watching demos, but I feel that there's a good chance it's going to be a European final.
And what about the Australians? Everybody seems to be writing them off because their scene is very small, but do you think they might step it up? Are they a dark horse?
No.
Like,
No. I don't think 1 week of a boot camp against European teams will be enough to actually get them out of the bubble of being unbeaten for 3 years.
yeah, like I think they can be a mid-prem team. They can beat Punchline and all those kind of guys, but when it comes to European top 3 and the Americans, I don't think they are ready for it. I've never seen an Australian game though, so I'm not 100% sure.
Did Numlocked say
He
he's
said
back?
he's be right back. It's on me.
Oh wow. Well, this is an interesting question though. I did say as well, not just about I-49, but beyond. After LAN is usually the time when a lot of teams start to ask questions about how they want to spend their time. Are Broder gonna keep playing after I-49, or are you just gonna
Yeah,
wait and
like
see
I
what
think
happens?
the point is to make the decision now. Like I know a few teams have already said they're gonna quit. I think that's stupid because most of them come back anyway. But I think we won't
Yep.
be playing, but I'm not gonna say it for sure.
Will you be playing in a different
Yeah,
roster?
if I still
perhaps?
enjoy the game,
After
like, I'll play.
Oh,
Are you going to steal Eps's Epsilon spot?
Yeah, he's talking about that.
Yeah. I have time
Am I-
until December, and then I have to take some months off
After?
for obvious reasons, but we will see what it develops in after December. But I feel like, I don't know, I have a lot more energy now with the backup of my team than I had in the last 6 months to 1 year, and I feel really good about just playing at the moment. It's cool. I enjoy it a lot.
It's just, like, if I enjoy the game, I'll continue playing. So I'm not gonna make that decision now.
And Numlocked?
Well,
Sebastian Barton? Numlocked? Hello?
hello?
We're asking, what are Epsilon's plans after I-49? Have you
We're
discussed
kind of
it?
unsure. Like, I know the Bash and Stefan want to stay on, but the rest of the team are really unsure. Like, Nox kind of wants to quit and take a step back and kind of just be the manager. I still want to continue. Stefan wants to continue. Bash wants to continue.
You've got
as
Raymond
long as-
lined up?
Yeah, Raymond will be kind of prepared for that backup spot.
But would he
once-
become full-time then if Nox steps down, obviously?
Yes.
Or,
Sick.
okay.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that we prepare someone for that full-time spot. Not necessarily someone that's already there, but someone that can be there and can be better than that.
You guys will continue to play though after
I
LAN?
heard that
Hopefully.
Numlocked is pregnant.
I mean, I can't give a definitive
With
answer
twins.
until
You're pregnant.
what?
You are pregnant!
Twins? What?
Numlocked your baby mama?
Oh, I'm pregnant. Yeah.
No.
You're gonna have 2 twin baby demos. You're gonna be the best demos in the world.
That's heartbreaking, man. Demo limit 1, they'll have to play in different teams. Okay, well, that was the last question. I think everybody's energy is just sort of slipping away here.
I just want my fucking bed.
We've probably been on
Eyes on my desk.
talking for about 2-3 hours. I'm not even sure how much of this will make it to the final cut, but it's been a pleasure, gentlemen. I'm glad we did this. Any shout outs or whatever you want to do? You want to promote your Twitter, your YouTube? Go for it.
Shit. Wait, so let me get my Twitter up to see your sponsors.
Shout out to Fragnet, best service in Europe. Shout out for Slick for the support of me during the last 3 months. Shout out to Lansky.
Yeah, shout out to someone. You'll be sick.
Fuck Epsilon. Slick, please pick me up when gears.
Just go on our YouTube, Broder TF2, and watch our VODs.
Okay, that's it then. This has been Admirable, your Premiership Ambassador. Thank you, and